Thanks, Les Concorda. I'm glad to get the opportunity to talk about housing and affordable housing and all that, because it's a very serious problem, and there are many young couples looking at us here this evening, and they're wondering, will they ever achieve or put a roof over their heads. It is a naturally desirable thing for any couple or young person to want to put a roof over their heads and own their own home, but it's becoming increasingly difficult because of the cost of materials, and it's becoming increasingly difficult for them to get planning in rural areas, especially in rural parts of Kerry, because of designations. I've spoken about it here earlier this evening. Designations that are applied on the insistence of the regulator and the planning authorities, and have to be adhered to by the local authority. And one of those is the urban generated pressure clause, and it was designed, which was wrong, to stop people coming out from towns and villages and building in rural areas. It was wrong for that, but it's equally wrong where it stops a local person in that area is deprived of getting planning permission because it's only the landowner's son or daughter can get it in that urban generated clause area. And that's a very wrong clause, because people should be entitled to get planning permission to build where they want to build their permanent residence, and I wouldn't mind the clause being put on them if they got the permission, and indeed they wouldn't mind it either. So that's one of the things, and we have the regulator completely blocking people from getting planning permission in other rural areas, and coming down and insisting that permission not to be granted in different places. And we have Bord Pleanála then, where planning is granted by Kerry County Council. Some nasty individual appeals, the decision like on Tashke, have done many times and made life miserable for so many families. Kerry County Council granted the permission. Some of them appealed to Bord Pleanála, and then, even though that the investigating officer from the inspector that comes down agrees with the local authority, lo and behold, for some reason, when it goes back before the board in Bord Pleanála, it is refused then, and the couple or the young person is denied the planning permission that they should have got. And I agree with previous speakers in relation to sewerage facilities and water facilities. We in Kerry have 32 villages without any sewerage facility. Places like Scotland, and Corra, Asdee, Caherdanel, Ballinskelligs, different places, and they can't expand the road because they don't have a sewerage facility. And like has been previously said, the government and the Department of the Environment will have to step in and assist Irish Water, because they don't have the funds. They don't have the funds to carry out all these schemes. All they're compelled and what they're liable to carry out is to maintain the facilities that are there already, and just putting them to the pin of their collar to do that, because of a place like Kenmare and Castle Island. You can get planning permission there for a development, but you can't build the houses until the schemes are put in place and extended and expanded. There's 17 schemes waiting, towns and villages waiting for to rejuvenate and to make their plans bring them up to standard. I say about zoning. The regulators continuously interfering about zoning, and what he's doing is dezoning lands. And we have ministers here saying that they want to build affordable houses and that they want to build houses. How can you build housing, and build affordable housing, if we're dezoning most of the land in any one settlement. And in most cases, they're only going to allow one developer or one plot of land in each settlement to be zoned. And that's wrong, because that gives that person or that side of the village or town a monopoly, and they can charge what they like. So talking about affordable, it's out the window when there's no competition for prices. So I'm saying, as I have said previously, zone plenty land and let the market decide where the houses will be built. And or else don't zone any land, or let every planning application go in and be decided either by the opinion decided by the local authority or Board Penala, and forget about zoning. And that would be a way fairer, and to allow people, even single applicants, then to buy a site close to the village or town and build, because they wouldn't have to have it zoned as they are at present. I had a person in a very small village recently, and a young couple, and they applied for permission outside of the village, and they were refused because it wasn't zoned land. And they couldn't buy a site inside the little village or town because it wasn't there and it wasn't available. So ministers, you have to wake up to these facts. I heard Deputy Nocton talking about building social housing or two-bedroom bungalows for all the people. I would like to take him down to Kerry and to Rathmore, where Joro Dunu and the Social Action Group have been doing that for years successfully, housing elderly couples and even single people. And they should be complimented, and that man should be especially complimented for the foresight and vision that he had in what he has done and what he is continuing to do with his team around him. I also want to compliment Michael Cronin, Thermal Build Houses, on the great work they're doing for building voluntary social housing in Killarney. They're now in Milltown and in different towns and villages, and indeed Khmer Planter, who are doing much the same in Barraduv. And they deserve credit for the high standard of houses that they're building. Felling licenses, and we hear the cost of materials and the increased cost of timber is going up and up again. If you want timber to build a house in Kerry at the present time, you'll have to wait for delivery for 6 weeks, and they won't know or can't tell you what the price will be until they land with the timber, because it's going up and up, it's being imported. Yet at the same time, in Germany and other countries, there's no felling license required, because when you plant a forestry, it's a recognised factor. It's going to have to be cut down at some stage. So if they were granted permission to plant it, they shouldn't need a felling licence to either thin it or to clear fell it at any time. And the quicker we realise that, because our forestry industry has gone down the Swanee, and there's job after job being lost, and contractors that had specialised gear and equipment for cutting timber and for drawing out the timber, forwarders and all those kind of things, they're either gone to Scotland or they're gone bust. So he'll have to wake up. That's what's happening, and I hope that you're listening, because it's a very serious matter, and there's more things being lost in the reign of this government than in any government previous to now. And this is one of the more serious things. The tenant purchase scheme. Going back a number of years, you could rent out a council house for a year or two, or for a number of years, and you were entitled to purchase it. There was a scheme that you could purchase it after that. That scheme is that we have at the present time. 80% of the applicants are being refused. You need to look at that scheme, because that was a very important scheme and a valuable scheme, where people got on their feet after renting for so many years, and they were able to purchase the scheme, purchase their house. They're being ruled out now. They're being denied that availability that was there all the years past. And that money used to do up voids, houses. We have 162 voids in Kerry at the present time because they have no fund to bring them up to the standard that they have to bring up the houses to no less quality. That's a very, very serious matter. And if you're talking about affordable housing and all that, you have to look at all those things.
I'm moving on to the